is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Last year I was sitting at a desk as a sales manager, and now I'm official McLaren F1 simulated test driver.
So it's 1.4 behind.
This opportunity is huge.
That's faster than the factory McLaren driver, and he's done 6 laps.
Let's go race.
From one Belgian racetrack to another, welcome to Club UK&I and Monday Night Skippys in support of the Campaign Against Living Miserably, CALM. We are at Circuit Zolder here today for a track that has 3 chicanes, and while Spa only has 1 that messes up the end of the lap, this one will define a race. You go too far to the outside on either one of them, you get yourself a slow down penalty, and it can put your race to ruins. It's a track where you will end up seeing drivers going too wide, but it's also a technical track, and it's one that drivers really need to work through over the course of this event. Robinson here on RaceSpotTV, going to hand it over to Rachel Whiteford and Linus Brontrom. Rachel, over to you.
Thank you very much, Will. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Monday Night Skippys. As Will says, this track is one of the more challenging circuits we come to on the series, of course. It's Circuit Park Zolder. This place has the street course feel, Linus. This place, it feels like we're in the streets of some Belgian city, but no, it's out of the countryside. It's just tight, confined. If you make a mistake here, you pay the penalty.
You really do. It's like a street circuit, but with a little bit of runoff areas and a lot of tight chicanes, like Will said. So if you make a mistake, you're going to lose a lot of time and potentially hit a wall, but you still get a little bit of a chance to recover. So stay out of trouble and you'll be fine.
You said you will, and without further ado, we're going to go to your starting grid. On pole tonight is Fahiman Tenides with a time of 1:44.366. Wolf Rose in second place, Simon Edwards. Paul Grillo up there in 4th place with Simon Povey returning in 5th. That's a name we've not seen for quite a while. Clark Williams in 6th place, Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, James McRitchie, Leah Hughes, and Jack Hobbs in 10th place with Nick Sigley, Ben Daniels, Matt Cox, Ewan Patterson, Christopher Keeble in 15th with Plumley, Kat, Hendy, Hewitt, and Cameron rounding out your top 20. The grid is starting to fill up now and getting ready for tonight's event. We've got 14 laps around this 2.49-mile circuit here in Belgium. Well, the weather, skies are clear. Track temperature's warmer than usual, and we have 8 miles an hour winds from the east. Humidity is very high. Means we're looking to have a bit more of a slippery race than we've had in the past. Spa was grippy and cool. Zolder, not so much. Our 1 second bracket we always talk about. Well, that takes us up to a 45.3, which is quite confined here today. That actually puts us into the top 10. So, the tricky track will certainly provide us some entertainment, as we've already said. Too wide racing, it's a guarantee. Crashes, a possibility. Let's see what happens in tonight's event as the clock winds down now. We get ready to kick this thing off for tonight's event. Monday Night Skippies. It just wouldn't be the same without it being on a Monday. Just like Monday Night Football, but with cars. It's an institution, and we had our 4-year celebration last week, of course. Thank you all those that tuned in and joined us for that. It was a really fun occasion, reminiscing of the past of the series, and, well, whether they're from the past, like Paul Grillo and Simon Povey, or the new people like Claire Hughes, Jack Hobbs, and some of the other drivers here who are pushing towards the front as newer drivers, doesn't matter. Monday Night Skippies, the old and the new mingled together. The racing, though, that's what we're all here for. The engines are going to start revving up now as we get ready to kick this thing off. The lights are going to come on the gantry, and it's time to go racing here in Belgium. Green flag flies, and we're away. Good start up at the front. Antonides put on pole, of course, now in front of Bill Fraser. The front of this field always looks very familiar. It's Antonides, Fraser, people like Edwards up there as well. Behind them are 2 cars we'll have to keep our eyes on. Paul Grillo and Simon Povey. Povey especially fast. Not been in the series quite a while, but we're very glad to see him back. The cars filter single file through the first sequence of corners here. This huge double apex right through turn 3 towards turn 4. Down our first real straight towards the first chicane. Our first challenge point on the track. A good draft opportunity here on this straight. This car's running wide there. That was Edwards at the front, who just goes a little wider than he needs to go at the moment. Bill Fraser looking for an option to make a move on Antonides early. They'll stay in line. No need going too excessive too soon. We'll keep our eyes behind us, though. What's going to happen into the chicane? Will there be some contact? There typically always is. 2 wide, back in the pack, through the chicane. 3 wide, a little bit further towards the rear. As cars get very, very excited. A few contacts, but everyone makes it through on 4 wheels, Linus.
They do, and I think there was 1 or 2 slowdowns through there, but not a lot of contact or any crashes. They made it through there very, very nicely, and there's a long train of cars now. I think almost the top 25 is all single file. There's a movement way down at the back, but Fahim Antonides looking to build on his 3 wins. He's been winless for a few races now, so he's going to look to keep that going. Bill Fraser in 2nd and Edwards in 3rd. So not a whole lot of changes anywhere in like top 15, I guess, so far.
Everything's staying pretty calm and collected for the race so far. Heading up towards the end of that first lap here, and, well, the drivers all seeming to maintain their position for now. Still Antonides, Fraser, Edwards, Grillo, Povey, your top 5 there. I love being able to say that, Linus. Grillo and Povey back in the top 5 in a Monday Night Skippies race. This feels like a year ago. Got some stuff happening with Roberts. Linus, take it away.
It's 3 wide going into turn 1, and that's Roberts and McRitchie, and I believe that's Jack Hobbs as well, but Roberts backed out. So Hobbs is going to make up 2 positions. McRitchie is going to stay in 8th, and when Roberts is going to drop down to 10th, actually, is going to get passed by the next car in line as well, which is Lear Hughes, but he's going to look to get back up the inside here, so it's going to be side by side, coming down this little straightaway down to the next right-hander leading down to the first chicane, but he's going to clear him, and Vaughan Roberts is going to be down into P number 9.
And Vaughan Roberts made a nice little recovery move there in turn 4, but he has dropped to further position in the moment. Through the chicane they'll come. 2nd time by for them. Don't think anybody got to slow down this time. Everyone manages it in one piece. No change at the front yet. It's 2nd chicane they're arriving at. Oh, we have got a spinner towards the rear of the field, and that is, I'm trying to work out who that one is. Plumley. Oh. Mr. Caducci goes around. Robert Plumley. We'll try and get a replay of what happened there for him. It's going to be one of those big sausage curbs, though, Linus, I'm going to guess, without having seen it yet, but
yeah, I think he just clipped the first. He just clips the first curb a little bit too hard and loses it, and then has to wait for everyone to go past before he can safely rejoin the track. So that's going to drop him down from 15th, I believe, down to about 35th, 40th place somewhere. So that's in pretty much the entire field going right past him.
It certainly is. It's one of those tricky curbs there. 3 of those curbs on each of the apexes that keeps drivers from cutting it too aggressively, and it makes them pay a penalty, which unfortunately the 147 of Plumley just had to pay. Wow, that's why you don't cut the chicanes. As we get back towards the front, though, looks like Edwards tried to make a bit of a move there. He pulled to the inside, trying to take a different line. Didn't pay out. Really no running order change there. Everything's still the same. Jack Hobbs has just run very, very wide, but returns to the racetrack there. He took a very creative line through 1 there, Linus, taking the sand trap.
Yeah, that's a bit of an interesting line, but he managed to keep it on track. pitted it well without losing too much time, so still no changes in the top 6, and then the first mover we got is Jack Hobbs moving up from 10th up to 7th, but he's about 2 to 3 seconds back from this lead group, so it's this is where the battle is going to be. I think they've spread out pretty much all the way through the field right now, so not much battles going on. Everything is single file, even though there's potential to be battles later on, but not at the moment.
Certainly is, of course. We've got 44 drivers in tonight's field, but only 42 on the racetrack, and so far 42 that started all running. Peter Cowan, though, had some problems. He's down at the back, although he only qualified 42nd, or 40th, because he didn't put a time in, so that's why he's been further down. You didn't mention that, Will. Well, Will just
I'm coming in. Yeah, I'm passing information. Yeah. Peter Cohen, let's talk about it. Let's not forget, before we actually had Monday Night Skippys on RaceSpotTV, Peter Cohen was the driver who was actually commentating Monday Night Skippys when it was on, I believe it was BSR TV, Rachel.
Yes, it was. In fact, I actually predate RaceSpotTV covering Monday Night Skippys because I actually did do several rounds on BSR TV's coverage of this series, so I've been doing this longer than you too, which is the weird part. But yeah, no, it's back in the BSR days, like some Matt Dalton up there, Peter Cowan was doing it, and a couple of others. I've forgotten one of the names of one of the commentators. It escapes me and I apologize to him, but that was back in the old days, and this series hasn't changed that much. It's still just as good as we look back towards the sharp end. And just in case you wondered why I sounded mental, poor folks, Will's passing me things without me, you guys hearing it, which unfortunately gives me a bit of a am I crazy complex sometimes as to whether people can hear him or not, or it's just me, or is he a voice in my brain? Regardless, Antonides up at the sharp end. Fraser, Edwards, Grillo and Povey. Nothing has changed, although it looks like Fraser's trying to dice up here, Lena's trying to find an opportunity to make it past that number 8 Thrustmaster Movano car, but just unable to find a chance. These top 5 guys so evenly balanced.
They really are, and as you saw about a minute ago, Fahim ran a little bit wide, which let Fraser close up to him, but it wasn't close enough to make a move, so Fahim's still going to be in the lead, and it's even though there's a lot of passing opportunities on this track, we still haven't seen any passes made up here in the top 6 as they get really, really close again going through the hairpin. But like you said, Fahim's still in the lead. Edwards looking to make a move on Fraser here potentially, but he just can't get the run. He's going to look to the inside, but he's going to back out and stay behind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as they started, and Clark Williams in his usual position, last car in the lead group, waiting for a mistake. That's where we see him pretty much every single race. And behind him, 3-second gap down to P number 7.
Certainly is, and that will change things up, of course, for us, as we're looking at P13 and P14 in the moment, which is Cox and Keeble. Oh, 3 wide there up the front straight for those guys into the first corner. They settle out and find a groove as it filters through. Keeble there, 14 of Cat made it past them both. Gives himself up a position there. Up to P7 and 8 at the moment. This is a nice little battle we've got going on here. Vaughan Roberts in there with McRitchie, Claire Hughes as well, just in there too. Nick Sigley trailing back at the group as a huge wobble there by McRitchie, which cost him a lot of time and makes it 3 wide towards the first chicane here on lap number 5. This is going to be a tight fit, boys. Make sure you make your minds up as to where you're going to fit, as they all try to make room. A little bit of a contact there, but everyone makes it through there, as that was actually, I think, Sigley contacting Vaughan Roberts at the moment though. McRitchie still holds his place, the lead of this group, in P8. Jack Hobbs, one of our bigger movers so far, up 3 spots there into the 7th place. Not a lot of other huge movers. We've got, of course, Jake Ridlington up from 24th to 19th. Tony Stack, 25th to 20th. And Stuart Dick, 31st to 22nd. And apart from that, the entire top 6 is exactly where they started. These guys qualify at the highest speed they could possibly achieve, and I guess that's the speed they can all run at, because they are running 1 through 6 still, which just tells you about the speed these guys are doing. But there is some traffic ahead. Peter Cowan there, who's currently running in 40th place. He's just ahead of your leaders. That'll be the first back marker to be lapped on the racetrack. Not sure what's happening to Peter Cowan today. Maybe he's had no practice, but I've never seen him this slow before, Lenas. He's normally solidly top 20 at least.
Yeah, he's not had a very good race, and he was struggling a bit in practice as well. But I'm thinking with how much slower he is in this race, he might have some sort of damage to that car, or he could even have been in the pits. But we'll have to ask him after the race if he pops in for an interview. But the top two here, Antonides and Fraser, they are pulling a bit of a gap down to Edwards, who's also pulling a gap down to fourth. So they're starting to put the hammer down here and try to make a gap so they can start battling soon, hopefully. But Fraser's still going to be behind. Antonides not going to try and make a move as they come up on Cow, and he's nicely moving out of the way, and well, no moves being made.
Certainly is indeed, and things get a bit spicier at the front end here as it looks like Fahim's starting to show some signs of fatigue there, Linus. Fraser right on his bumper, and Fahim's just getting a little sloppier than we normally see from a very controlled and precise driver. The gaps have widened up here a little bit as well. Grillo and Povey have dropped back. Edwards sitting in kind of a no man's land at the moment as Fraser really guns there for Antonides.
Yeah, he's trying everything he can, he just cannot get close enough. What he's missing on this track, I think, is the long draft straight, because you don't really have that here. All the straights are cut off by chicanes as we see him get really, really close again. Edwards lates on the brakes too, but no one's close enough to make a move. Maybe if he can get to run off the last corner here. Fahim going defensively already at the beginning of the straight. Fraser getting a little bit closer, but is it going to be close enough to pop to the inside here? He's not. He's going to lift off before the braking zone to make sure he doesn't get up next to him as they go off behind him. That's Simon Povey off in the gravel.
That is not what we expect to see from a veteran driver like Povey. He has cost himself some serious time back behind Clark Williams now, just ahead of Jack Hobbs there, who's worked his way up. Actually, now it's Peter Cow in the lap car, actually, between those two. Scratch my last. Edwards has caught back up to the leaders now, so we've got a top three breakaway. And then we've got Grillo and we've got Williams coming up fast in the 4th and 5th spots. Behind them, Hobbs, McRitchie, Hughes, and I believe Povey has dropped a little bit further back. Yeah, he's just behind there, behind Clark Williams, so that puts him into 6th place at the moment. That gap's looking a bit more insurmountable, Linus. Now the gap between the first pack and the second has widened. Originally it was like the top 6 running neck to neck, and suddenly that little kind of halfway through the race fatigue has just separated them out now.
Yeah, this is where you separate the men from the boys, if you want to put it that way. The top 3, the normal, well, our big 3, if you want to put it in NASCAR way, is showing up here, pulling away, not making many mistakes, and they're all nose to tail here. As Fahim has actually pulled a little bit of a gap again. I don't know if Fraser's going a bit defensive against Simon Edwards, but Fahim is managing to pull away slightly. Edwards looking to the inside of Fraser, but he's not going to be close enough. He's going to slot back in line, and well, these 3 are still going to stay the way they started. Not a single pass being made. As we got a battle between Lear Hughes, Von Roberts, and Nick Sigley.
Although I think McRitchie just headed to pit road. He has indeed. Possibly not taken enough fuel, or maybe has some minor damage. Looking at his car, it looks okay, but he's decided to pull himself into pit road there, so that's going to be likely the end of his fight at the moment. More people coming onto pit road as well, apparently. That signifies possibly a fuel mistake from a couple of drivers here.
I think it's Aston Villa. I mean, that's the whole thing, Rachel. I mean, Aston Villa, they almost got themselves back into the Premiership last year. Yeah, we're talking football. We were talking about Chelsea yesterday, last week even, and now it's McRitchie. And, well, that might be a bad sign for Aston Villa Football Club.
I'll take your word for that. I know nothing about football, so I'll just leave the analogy there. Well, I'm going to assume that is technically correct, and we'll have viewers who understand that one, so we'll keep going back to the actual racing cars. But at the front, Antonides, Fraser and Edwards doing their thing. That group's really tightened up again, and they're sticking to what we saw at the very start of the race. This is the same sort of controlled management we've seen for quite a while. Keeble and Hewitt though, Ryan, the Torpedo Hewitt, we've not seen him in action for quite some time. And of course we come to him and he's in the middle of a 3-wide dogfight there. He's now up alongside Matt Cox. That's not Matt Cox, that's Anthony Jones there. Oh yeah, there has been some contact, and Keyboard has dropped back there, so that's cost him. And Team Torpedo there, Ryan Hewitt living up to his name. Gunning now for the driver Anthony Jones, the 34 car there, as they head towards the big hairpin at the bottom of the track. one of the second most challenging locations after the 2 chicanes. The final chicane, not as hard here, Linus. This one's actually a very quick chicane, the final one. It's the first 2 that really bring challenge to the drivers.
Yeah, they do. The last one is a bit more forgiving, and you can miss your line a little bit more without losing too much time, but you still don't really want to be going side by side through it as they make it onto the front straightaway. And it's Hewitt still trying to catch up to Anthony Jones in front of him. That's Keeble on the back, but he's not going to be close enough still to make a move. And well, looking back to the front here, Bill Fraser is getting closer to Fahim, but Fahim's going defensive. Fraser trying to make a move, but they're also going to stay single file, so moving on.
On board there with Bill Fraser, showing you the view of Fahim Antonides's gearbox at the back of his car, because unfortunately that's all Bill Fraser's seen all race long. Antonides controlling this race very, very well here. This track is notoriously difficult to pass on, Linus, especially in these smaller cars where you can't really elbow your way past people. Povey has just lost out position to Williams. He had gotten back past him, but unfortunately now Williams gets ahead. So Meek Williams does some good racing there, gets himself a position. Grillo into 4th, or he's still in 4th, of course, after the initial mistake by Povey. But what's going to happen to us at the front here, Linus? What's going to happen with Fraser and Antonides Edwards? They stay this calm. When do people start getting aggressive? Run 9 of 14 right now. When do they change mentality?
I'm not really sure about that. I think as soon as Fraser gets the opportunity, he's going to stick it in there, but I just think Fahim is just a little bit too fast for him to get in there, and he also has to look out for Simon Edwards, who's sitting back there. So while Fraser is on offense, he also needs to be on defense, because if he makes a move on Antonides and it doesn't stick, he's going to drop down to 3rd, and that's going to eliminate any chance he has of winning, pretty much, because if you can't pass 1, how are you going to pass 2 cars?
Absolutely. And well, passing cars is the name of the game, and it's something these guys have to find a way to do if they want a chance at winning this race. Otherwise it'd simply be a qualifying time trial, which would be boring. Take a quick look now throughout the field, see what we've got going on. Of course, the Povey Williams Grillo battle will heat up as time passes for us. We'll take a look back at Keeble and co. They're still running nose to tail here. Keeble, Hewitt and Jones. That's 16th, 15th and 14th places there. Matt Cox and Anthony Catt separated quite reasonably there. Nick Sigley just ahead of them. Vaughan Roberts trailing on the back here of Clear Hughes and Jack Hobbs, just inside your top 10. The race has settled into a calm rhythm here, Linus. Everyone is getting the laps in now. This track, it might be simple as old. Simon Maltby actually getting it on here with, I believe that's Paul Thurston getting it on with Simon Maltby. It is indeed. El Capitan goes to make the move on the outside on the approach to the chicane, secures that pass. Nicely done there by Paul Thurston, moves himself up from 21st to 20th. 2 campaigners in this series, those 2 drivers, Linus. But I was just saying, this track is mentally demanding. Not many are this demanding. This track has got a certain character that makes the driver have to really think about these corners. The chicanes are difficult here.
Yeah, they really are. Looking at the track and seeing the layout, you'd think it would be a place with a lot of passes, and I've thought that would be the case as well, because it usually is, but for some reason we're not really seeing that today. Like you're saying, it's pretty mentally challenging, because you really need to hit every single corner or you're going to lose out big time, and maybe everyone's just being patient, or they're just hitting their marks too well. As we see Edwards here chasing Bill Fraser, and Fahim has pulled out a little bit of a gap again, so no moves can be made here unless Edwards can get a really good run out of this corner. Gonna see Fraser going a little bit wide, Edwards going the same. So looking to the inside, but it's way too far behind to make a move here. So the front three is still gonna stay single file going through the chicane. See how they compare their lines, pretty much equal everybody, and well, nothing really happening up here. Oh, as we got a spin behind, that's Clark Williams mounting the curb and going around. Sorry, that's Simon Povey actually. That's Povey, and he's in the grass and he's not moving.
Yeah, Simon Povey had some problems after that first chicane. We'll have a quick look back and see what happened to him. And he was right up behind Clark Williams, and it seems to be almost exactly like what happened to Plumley. It was, and it was the second apex of the chicane. Goes straight over those rumble curves, loses the back end of the car, and ends up in the grass. Has to get himself turned around there. Those curbs are battling, as we talked about it, they're very aggressive.
They really are, and he sent that car way up in the sky, and these cars don't really like being in the air, because when they land, they bottom out and suspension damage and everything, and he's parked it actually now, so race over for him, which is a shame, because he had potentially a top 5 coming there, so unfortunate ending for him, trying to be aggressive and make up a position, but...
Taking a quick look at Hughes here on the racetrack, as he is running right now in P8, just behind Jack Hobbs there, running down the front stretch towards turn 1. Clay Hughes has had a phenomenal run last time, Linus, at Spa. Almost an amazing chance at taking possibly a victory there, missing out narrowly. I mean, what an entry to the series, and today he's backing it up with a great result at a very difficult track from what we've seen. Qualified 9th, he's running in 7th right now, and doing a phenomenal job about it.
He really is, and he's looking to get a run here on Hobbs. He gets a little bit close on the entry there though, but he might be able to set him up for the exit here. Trying to make it into 6th position. Top 5 though, he's 5 seconds up the road, so that's pretty much out of the order. He goes to the outside. Hughes going to be latest on the brakes. They're pretty much equal, but Hobbs has the inside, so Hughes has to back out. And here comes Vaughan Roberts behind now instead to make up a move, moving to the inside.
Well, Vaughan Roberts had a bit more room there, which meant he had a good chance to set up a cleaner run through the chicane before, of course, English. Unfortunately, Clay Hughes did not have the best line to take through there. It cost him time and momentum, and Vaughan Roberts gets through. We're showing a bit of a track map here on the screen for you to see between those guys. Is runs wide, Vaughan Roberts off the track, and that gives the position back to Hughes. Yeah, you can see the difference between them, their lines there, which shows definitely a very different approach to the corner, which shows how these guys really gain and lose momentum and how it cost Hughes, but he's now back in place after that mistake. So, I guess beggars can't be choosers. It'll be the end of lap 12 now for your leaders as they come across the line this time by. Bill Fraser still looking, Antonida still defending. Nothing's changed at the front. 2 laps to go though. When do you make the move, Linus?
Well, I thought it would be made about 10 laps ago, but apparently that was not the case, as these 3 have not made a single pass all race long, and Fraser is really trying to pull the gap to Edwards again, getting close to Antonides. He just needs to get a little bit of a run coming out of this corner that's coming up to get the run down to the chicane, but he's not going to make it. Fahim nails that corner every time, and Fraser goes just a little bit too wide, which costs him. And here we go, Fahim to the inside. Fraser is going to try on the outside. He's going to get blocked, though he has to let off early, and Fahim is going to stay ahead. So somehow he just needs to have a massive run coming out of a corner if he's going to make it past, and he's just not able to do it with Fahim being too good.
I think the best opportunity we've seen is get a good run in turn 4, Linus. Get that run down to the first chicane where you can take an advantage, or get close enough to make Fahim lose concentration. Make him drive at his rearview mirrors, not out of the front of the car. That can make a mistake, and that can give you an advantage. But Antonides doesn't really make mistakes anymore. He's not that sort of driver. He's very controlling, and looking at his laps and his lines, Linus, it's almost as though Antonides isn't running at 100%. He's driving at about 95. He can go faster if he needs to, but what's the point in hot lapping when winning by 1/10 of a second is as good as winning by 10 as Fraser's engine detonates? Too long running too close to the back of Antonides has overheated Bill Fraser, probably combined with the short shifting at a tight technical track like this. And bang goes Fraser's engine, but with enough power for him to basically cruise onto pit road. So that means we don't have any sort of safety problems. Of course, he's nicely out the way, but promotes Simon Edwards up and Clark Williams to a podium position here. After really not contending with the top 3 all day long, can Grillo get past Williams here on this final lap and get a podium? That would be a huge move for him. I don't think Simon Edwards is close enough, Linus, to get up to Antonides, though.
He was close, but he messed up those first couple of corners a little bit. He just needs to get a massive run out of here. But like I said earlier, Fahim knows this track by the looks of it, and I don't think he's watching his mirrors at all. He was just trusting the cars behind him to not make a mistake and run into the back of him. But here comes Edwards. Edwards knows he needs to make a move. He's getting really close, but not close enough. But he's going to have to lunge it up the inside at some place if he's going to get the win here, and just hope that Fahim runs wide, though Fahim looks to be very stable, still in the lead. Here comes Edwards. He's going to lift too early again, so still single file for the next chicane.
Hughes We'll have a quick look at Hughes here, who just made a move there on Vaughan. Roberts gets himself back ahead. Hobbs leading that group ahead of them. Could Grillo make a move in time to get a podium spot? Could Edwards take the win away from Antonides? It's going to come down to the final 3 corners here at Circuit Park Zolder. On board with Edwards here behind Antonides. One last opportunity, the final chicane. And the run onto the start-finish line. Can he do it, Linus? That's a huge, huge question for us. I don't think he's close enough, but behind them, Williams and Grillo alongside. That's what Grillo needed. Edwards is not going to be close enough, as Fahim Antonides will come out of that final corner with the advantage and possibly the lead, as Grillo side by side with Williams now. But Grillo loses out. It looks like Clark Williams still has the speed advantage to get there to the line, but it's getting closer. He'll hold it. Clark Williams takes 3rd place. Paul Grillo in 4th. Hobbs alongside there with Hughes, nearly, as Hughes will not make it again. 2nd time in 2 weeks. He's nearly made a position at the line and just lost out. But they make it through there. And that was a very exciting end to an otherwise quiet race, Linus.
It really was, but still no passing for the lead. I think that's the first time we've not had a single pass in the top 3, apart from that blown engine on the second to last lap, which was really, really unfortunate. But
move there with Barry West at the final corner, getting past Christoph Grant, so a nice move there by him. Other way around, sorry, Grant got past West, unfortunately. Guess there's one way to go, West. Although, we've just been had to be cleared up for us, of course, Will, by Peter Cohen, who told us that it was actually Chris Cohen who commented on the BSR TV, not him. And that's the name I was trying to remember, because I knew there was a name I hadn't heard, and it was Chris Cohen. It was Dalton and Cohen who covered the series, and it was a lot of fun working with those guys. But, without further ado, the post-race results. Fahim Antonides comes home with a win tonight after a very quiet race for him, with a couple of late challenges and some heartbreak for Bill Fraser. That'll hurt his points, of course. Simon Edwards, 2nd place. Clark Williams in 3rd. Paul Grillo in the 4th place, narrowly losing out to Williams for that podium spot. Jack Hobbs in 5th place. Claire Hughes in 6th with Nicholas Vaughan-Roberts, Ben Daniels, Anthony Catt and Matt Cox. Behind them, it's Anthony Jones, Jake Ridlington, Christopher Keeble, Tony Stack, Dave Cameron in 15th, Simon Maltby, Paul Thurston, Stuart Dick, John McGovern and Christoph Grant in 20th, just beating out Barry West there for a top 20 spot. Rest of those results up on your screen now. Well, I have to say, Linus, even a quiet race in this series is never that quiet. It's always some element of excitement that really just drives these guys to the next level and provides a lot of fun for us.
yeah, it certainly does, and it's they're all so evenly matched at the front as well, which makes it so interesting. Unfortunately, there wasn't any passer, but it was still really, really good, close, tight racing. So, and in this series, there's always racing all the way through the pack to look at. Just watch the likes of Lear Hughes. He's coming from nowhere, gets a 2nd in his first race, and almost a 5th here in his 2nd race. He's going to be a name to watch in the future as well. He's going to show up and provide some really good racing if he stays here. So. Never disappointing to commentate in this series. It's great.
It certainly is, and we have got your winner tonight. Fahim Antonides joining us here in the RaceSpotTV commentary booth. Fahim, textbook win.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy win. It was a horrible race for me. Constant pressure from Bill, and when you got Bill chasing you, it is constant pressure. But I have to say thanks to him, because he wasn't being his
ended
usual.
Up with too much pressure.
Well, he was keeping close enough for the pressure to be on, but whenever there was when it was time to attack, he was holding back. I'm not sure why. I think he was either worried about messing it up for me, because he knows I'm in contention with the championship with Simon. I don't know if he's counted himself out of the championship at this stage of the game, because he would normally attack in positions like that, but in situations like that, but he didn't this time, and that happened a few times. And then also congrats to Simon. I could see him pulling out of Bill's draft, trying to keep his engine temps cool. He was obviously keeping an eye on his oil and water temps through the race, and it's a good thing that he did, because you saw what happened to Bill. His engine blew up, although it wasn't a good thing that he did, because now that Bill's engine's gone, Simon is gained extra points on me. So, but other than that, I had issues with the computer. My FPS kept dropping to about 30 to 40. The computer kept stuttering. This was about 4 laps from the end. I just couldn't wait for the race to end in the end.
I think it's almost at this point, I'm just going to jump in here, Rachel. It's almost at this point that we need a PC World advert, except you don't want a PC World advert because they're useless in terms of making computers.
Hey, don't sponsor us, we don't want one. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll speak to our local PC supplier and see if we can get a sponsorship on that car.
Do it. Do it.
And on that
Cheers,
note, thank you for joining us for Human Tinnitus, winner today here at Zolder. Well, next up, Linus is here with Paul Thurston.
Well, Paul, not really the result you were hoping for today, I guess, but still managed to make up 9 positions into P number 17, so congrats on that, I guess. And how was your race?
I'm quite delighted about that, actually. I had no pace whatsoever. I've had no chance to get any practice at all this week. Or buy a new microphone, Will. Yours is a bit sun tonight, I notice. No, no practice, and it is one of my best tracks. But so I was surprised how slow I was in quali. But then I just played it clean, really. I just tried to keep it safe, keep it on the island, and had a great little battle race along with Simon. Simon got past me on the first lap. I didn't get in his way, to be honest. I knew he was basically quicker than me. But then later on in the race, he let me go to try and catch the guys in front, and I was catching them. But then we came up against Nick Sigley's. Well, he was basically, I think he was going down the back straight through the chicane, smoking about 15 cigars. Which tended to make it a little bit, visibility was low, and coming into the second chicane, I lost all the gap I'd built to Simon, and he mugged me, but that's fine. It was a great little race. It's completely clean, no incident points. Actually, going back to last week, Tim harangued me on the forum. Apparently we did touch going through Blanchimont, so after all my big speech about us giving each other enough room. We both did try and give each other enough room, but apparently we touched and he went off and took someone else out. So I had to apologise to him for that one. Although I don't know whose fault it was. I think it was just a racing incident. It just goes to show when you're sim racing, you don't have the visibility around you, so you don't really know what's happening to the side and behind.
Well, that is one of the downsides of sim racing, unfortunately, but as always, a good show from all of you guys. And Summit Point next week, is that something you're looking forward to?
I've won more races at Summit Point than any other track. 2, I think it is. Then
we expect great things.
I am actually a bit of a Summit Point specialist, but that doesn't mean I'm as quick as the Greek guys. They do stupid times. I'm normally closer to them at Summit than anywhere else, and I'll make sure I get some practice for this one because it is one of my tracks. For some reason, it just suits me. I've been racing. I mean, obviously it's the 10th anniversary of iRacing this year, and I was on there at the beta, and it was one of the few tracks we actually had. We had Summit Point, Lime Rock, and whatever Sonoma was called at that point. Was it Laguna? Oh yeah, it was Sonoma. I can't remember. Yeah, Laguna. And so it was. That's the one I liked more than any other. It's got a really nice flow to it, particularly the S's. Once you learn the trick coming into the hairpin is too many people try and take the correct line round the hairpin. What you need to do around there is you keep the right hander, the fast right hander before it. You carry as much speed as you possibly can around there, and then you aim for the granny line. Essentially, you aim for the left-hand side of the hairpin. There's a bit of banking there, and basically it pulls you in, and you can go right the way around. There's nothing to be gained by going to the right into the hairpin and then taking the correct line, because there's no straight afterwards. So it's a lot better to gain the speed on coming into the corner, and then just sort of womble your way around the next bit, and just make sure you're on the left to actually get the right line into the S's. It's a very, very technical track. I do love it.
Well, there you go. track tips from Mr. Poole first and on Summit Point. Well, congrats on your result and see you in Victory Lane next week then, Rachel.
We certainly will, and we finally got Barry West, who just missed out on top 20 tonight. A great race from you, Barry, for once. I don't mean that in a bad way, since you could have a lot of bad luck, unfortunately. But today, you were in the top 20 for quite a bit of that, and you had a good run. Unfortunately, just missed out. They were 21st at the end, but a great run.
Yeah, not too bad. I just cocked up and lost focus on the last chicane. I don't know why. I just was trying to catch John up, because I was catching John up all through the race, and I was following him when he was just behind Paul, and I don't know what lap it was, but I had to check up, and in turn one, because I would have gone into the back of him, and I lost about 4 places, and got back up through again, and was gaining again, but it was running out of time, and I was just a bit too desperation to lunge into the last chicane to try and get a bit more time. I think it was 0.6 in front, but then gave the place away to Christopher, who it was annoying, because every time I caught John up, Christopher had a decent gap, and then Christopher would catch me up and get past, and then we'd battle for a while until I think we had an agreement that I said, well, we're just slowing each other up, and John's driving away. So we followed each other for a while, and then so I don't mind giving that place away on the last lap to him. We had a good little race actually, but I was hoping to get behind Paul, and because I was at one time level, but Paul was in front. We were too wide going into the 90 degree before the last chicane, and we got through on the inside, and then lost out again. But yeah, it was a good race actually. Yeah, I did a little bit of practice this week, so I took it through the S's and claimed a bit of time there. But yeah, when you look at the qualifying time, it's absolutely awful again. I don't know why, but the race time was like over a second faster. But yeah,
well, regardless, it was still a good race from you today, and 21st, a decent result.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. I actually went to Zolder, and I can remember watching the Can-Ams line up on the start-finish straight, and I was stood in the grandstand on the left, and they all fired up as they pulled away, and I'm sure the concrete was vibrating. It was that loud. It was an amazing sight. Yeah, good track.
Well, it certainly was. Well, thanks for joining us, Barry, Paul, and of course Fahim. Linus, it's been a great race here today, and of course we are back same time next week here on Monday Night Skippys for more of the best racing action you can find on a Monday night, or if I'm being very biased, for the entire week. Just don't watch anything else. Where else are you going to come to? I mean, Monday Night Skippys. Thanks for watching, guys, and good night.